Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And welcome to another episode of our watch party of Sex and the City, where we try to go through every single episode.
Slowly.
How many did you say there is?
There's 94 episodes and 3 movies, 4
episodes. And just like that,
Yep.
I bet we're going to come back to it because there's, did you see the new headlines for this?
Aiden. I did see it.
Yeah, so Aiden is back.
Oh, well, see, I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, you haven't seen him yet. And people have strong feelings about being Team Aiden, Team Big, and then Team Russian. You haven't met the Russian either.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I knew about Aiden, even though I haven't watched the show. I knew that there was like a big /Aiden divide with who Carrie ended up with.
Yes, there was a whole conversation. But we're not there yet.
No.
We're still at Big Part 2.
Yeah, we're pretty early on.
Yeah, we're very early on. Yes, we are at Season 2, Episode 8, for those who are catching up.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, this is a part of our happy hour / Thursday throwback, because this is a throwback of the 90s series, early 2000s, aughts season. But yes, we are having our watch party. We are still doing the listener participation one at the end of this season. Put your name in. I know y'all are tired of hearing us repeat that because we've been teasing about this.
Mm-hmm.
But it is happening, y'all.
It is happening. And I think after this, we'll have a better, we'll be able to schedule these better because we do want to do more than one.
Yes.
But it was just kind of the holidays and then figuring out the technology and all the technology.
Yes. We're still having a conversation about that because trying to view it together at the same time can get complicated, especially if you're not a podcaster and you don't know how to do that. It's a whole thing.
It is,
especially
but we're confident. Christina is amazing, and we're confident it will work. But just know, we apologize it's taken so long, but we promise it is coming. And I think after this, we'll have a better system in place.
Yes, because we do want guests. We've already had Bridget. We've had producer Christina. We will probably have a friend guest too.
Yes.
And then other people from other shows. We're going to do things.
Yeah.
Things are happening. But yes, and listener participation as well, because y'all seem to really enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
But before we start, as we said, it's kind of a happy hour because this, when you're talking about sex or the city, we kind of make it a girls' night, happy hour moment.
Yeah.
So before we start, we're not being sponsored by whatever product we're talking about. I don't think we're saying name brands anyway.
We aren't really,
today.
but just in case.
Yeah, just in case if we do ever do that. And then that might change. You never know.
Yep. Dynamic advertising, y'all.
Yep. And then also be responsible in whatever you're doing, including the fact if you're listening around children, we are talking about adult content.
Yeah. Perhaps immaturely sometimes.
Yeah. So, be aware. But yeah, what you sipping on?
Well, we like to give you these peek behind the curtains. Samantha and I are currently recording together from our very fancy, almost falling apart sportscaster desk.
Don't judge me.
And I think we're going to post a video of it soon.
Yeah, you need to know what our setup looks like.
It's true. Not right now, because y'all, we watched The Last of Us last night, and I am flying high, but I do not look good for video. But so my point being, from the last Sex and the City episode we did to this one is the same recording session. Yes. So I'm still drinking from the Prosecco that you kindly purchased, and I poured myself. But you poured the first one. So
I did. I was trying to be nice, a good host. I'm also drinking the same cherry and Prosecco and a little bit of agave with my bubble water. I always have to have a bubble water. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do the wrap up from previous, which you got the D-.
B+.
Yeah, okay.
Justice for Anney.
So, give us a wrap up.
Okay. So, I feel like at this point, Carrie and Big are back together, and that's the main storyline that's happening after they broke up at the season finale of the first season. And they had sort of it wasn't a DTR, but it was what you called it, come to Jesus.
Yeah.
Where she was curious is too soft a word, but she wanted to know what their relationship means after he kind of put out these signals that he didn't want to be maybe associated with her as a couple publicly as much as she did. And they had to revisit that conversation. We had a lot of interesting things around marriage with all four of them. like, why do you get married? Because Samantha was like, I guess I got to marry this guy because we had sex. And then Charlotte met this guy and then had sex with him and then was going to get married with him. And then his father copped a feel. And then Miranda thought she was going to marry this guy or at least date him. And then he married somebody else immediately. So a lot of conversation about marriage and relationships as per usual. But I still think the main thing that's going on here is like, what is happening with Carrie and Big?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm trying to remember. All right. I'm about to tell you the title.
Okay.
And I usually try to say to you, I think we're going to have a big character, a reoccurring character in this one.
Okay.
It's either this one or the next one. And I'm trying to remember because it's been a minute because they all blur together because I just watched a marathon running. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure you're about to get introduced to a significant character.
Ooh.
That will be in the plot lines ahead. But the title for your consideration,
yeah.
The Man, the Myth, the Viagra.
Oh, God.
So.
Oh, no.
What is your prediction for this episode? What do you think it's about, rather?
I'm so bad at this. Okay, I think that there's going to be a man who's well known for having sex. And then it turns out he has to have Viagra and he's not good at sex. I'm so bad at this.
Okay, interesting.
That's what I have. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. I'm going to let you have it. But yes, I am almost positive we're about to meet a significant character in this one.
Aiden?
No. But it's like that. Also, we're going to have a cameo of an unwelcome guest. I'm going to put that.
Oh,
Can you give any guess?
No.
Who do you think it is?
Donald Trump? Oh, no.
So, yes. Here we go.
Oh,
Episode 8. Let's get started.
Carrie, this is the gangster I was telling you about.
Gangster?
No.
So many stereotypical ideas about Italians immediately.
Yeah.
To our Italian listeners, we don't hold to that. We're so sorry.
I think the first time I went to New York is I went to a small Italian restaurant that looked exactly like this.
Yeah.
And that's when I had my foodgasm.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So we have a restaurant here called Nino's. Mm-hmm. And that has this aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like he's been around for years. Mm-hmm. And people talk about that as best Italian in Atlanta. And I'm pretty sure it's the old school Italian style. Mm-hmm. The waiters are all older. That's what I discovered. But here, we need to have a significant moment because Carrie is introduced by Big to friends, quote unquote, as his girlfriend. And she's like, you've never called me your girlfriend before. That title.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember the exact moment my partner, and he knew the exact moment when he first referred to me as girlfriend. And I was like, excuse me?
Right.
Why is that such a significance? The titles.
It is. It's also interesting in our new era because me and my ex used to not fight, but he'd kind of be like, you've never said anything on Facebook that you didn't change your status.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate Facebook. So I'm not going to do that.
The labels.
And one time I feel bad about this still, but he asked me can I introduce you as my girlfriend to my friends? And I started to cry. And I'm sure that wasn't good
reaction
for his ego.
That's an interesting reaction.
But it does feel like
it's heavy.
Well,
even to this day, and we've kind of talked about this, and it comes back into the queer space. But this level of being called girlfriend at my age feels really childish.
Yeah.
And aged, it doesn't age well to me. So, and it's not because I want to be married. I don't the idea of being called a wife either really kind of, makes me have a panic attack. But partner, I use it. And I know people will get really into deep discussions about this was made for queer relationships because queer relationships, you couldn't say that.
Right.
So that was the best way to do that for them. Now are we appropriating that from the queer community?
Right.
But I'm but I feel too old because it's not just, he's my boyfriend.
Right. It just sounds immature.
Right, it does.
It sounds very high school. And if that's cool, if that's the thing that you
which is
resonate with,
fine,
that's totally fine. But I get you. It does sound like, it sounds like not as serious.
Yeah. Like, because we're more than just
Right.
a high school relationship. Like, it's not like we share and bond over all the things. Like, if I die, he's getting part of that.
Right.
If I get murdered suspiciously. No, I'm just playing.
It was me. No, it wasn't, I promise.
Yeah, but like he's like a beneficiary because we're that close.
I'm sorry, his date can't speak right now. Who may I say is calling? His wife?
Now we're moving on to the really bad stand-up comedy. Miranda's on a date and turns out he's married.
Yeah, and it was the comedian used it publicly to make a joke.
Yeah, which I've seen many a times, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Yo, man, not so fast. I'll you.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. And this is why Me Too in comedy industry is important.
Yes. Because he just said something very offensive to Miranda as she was trying to leave. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
It's not. It's not. You're just really ridiculing someone. Why are you doing this?
It's because you can't think of any jokes.
Yeah.
And you're not funny at all.
Samantha, a cosmopolitan, and Donald Trump. You just don't
Good
get
job.
I was right.
You were right. Here is the cameo of effing Donald Trump. They must
He's
have
so
they
bad
must
as an
have been
actor.
like they must have been recording in his hotel.
Yes.
Or near his hotel. One of his
required,
properties.
he had to appear in it. That's why he's in
Yeah.
Home Alone too.
Yep.
So
And there
Man.
he is.
Beauty. I think I just agreed to finance Mr. Trump's new project. You owe me $150 million.
Oh, this was the moment someone should have told him Donald Trump is going to file bankruptcy. You're not getting your money back. She's being hit on by this very old rich man
Yes.
who just invested in Donald Trump's property, whatever, project.
It is quite strange. This is nowhere near the same level. The first time I went to Dragon Con, this older guy like this, really older, and I was in college, came up to me and he bought me these drinks and he acted as if, well, okay, this is now we have to go to my hotel room and have sex. And I was like, you bought me like 3 Coors Lights. And I understand that it's expensive at a hotel,
But it's not
go
that
away.
Yeah.
Samantha had learned that Ed was single, available, and a millionaire many, many times over.
What's your age ceiling with men?
So they're asking, how old would you go? How old would you go for either any of the bodies?
You know, I think when I was younger, I would have given you a much wider age gap, but now I'm so like, I've seen so many terrible things. And we've talked about this too. I feel strange about it because if you're in a consensual relationship and you understand, but to me, there's just so many differences between being like 20 and 40. Like me at 20 versus me now is not the same person, did not understand the same things. So I don't think I would do a massive age gap.
Right. Well, that's that level of like 18 and 25 is significant.
Yeah.
Significant.
Especially when you're younger, that it really matters.
Even though now, like, it wouldn't. Like, 35, 42, not so significant.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think it's different then, but it's still like...
The maturity.
I've seen so many older men who are just... I'm like, why do you keep going for the younger women?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve. Thank you, Steve.
So we are introduced to Steve.
That's really very cute. But
That's
I'm not
Steve. This is an
The husband.
introduction of Steve.
Oh, wow.
Steve. I love Steve. We've already talked about And Just Like That and the disappointments of Just Like That. But obviously he's a significant part of the story.
Yeah.
But he is endearing
Yeah.
on the ladies. They treated him dirty.
Yeah.
Like, I get what they were trying to do, and things fall apart. We talked about this. This happens. You just stop falling in love, or you don't realize who you are, and you have to redefine yourself. That's fine. But they did Steve dirty.
Yeah. Oh, Ed.
So Samantha is having fancy dinner with maid, essentially.
Yes.
So she's getting showered with all these diamonds. And the staff is like, oh God.
Worst.
So I never told you this. The old job, when I first graduated from college, I worked at, you know this part, Department of Family and Children's Services. I was an investigator of child abuse and did all of that. There was a dude who was a therapist. I was early 20s. He was late 40s, hit on me.
Oh.
And I was so stunned.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good-looking man, but he was significantly older, had gone through a divorce, had teenage kids who were close to my age.
Yep.
I was so shocked because I'd never been hit on like that. I was like, what is happening?
Yep.
That I went to a coworker who was closer to his age. And I was like, this person hit on me. Do you know anything about him? Is this a thing he does? And she got mad at me.
Oh.
Because someone her age had been hitting on me. And I think she was like, had seen him. And it turned out he did. He did hit on like younger women, but she didn't know that. Like she talked to someone else about it and they were like, oh, he hit on me too. And I didn't know this.
Right.
But like it was such a significant, like I didn't know what to do because I thought kind of like how we talk about grooming. Young children don't know that they're being groomed because they feel like they should be thankful that they're being noticed by a man.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But that's what it was. But it was such a weird reaction that I had from everyone that I felt like a bad person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of like something you said in a recent episode that kind of stuck with me is like when you're giving a gift and it's about someone else and you said lingerie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. And I feel like in this, like where he's giving her all these diamonds, he likes to see like his money, his things on her.
And that's kind of like an ownership to that as well for her too. Like, no, I found that interesting, that the aspect of that. And of course, I didn't go on the date with him because I realized this was happening. And like looking back, I was like, that was really inappropriate because he asked me out on my work phone. He did not have any of my personal information. He called me to ask me out. And I thought we were talking. I was being very kind because I thought we were doing this. And it shocked me.
Right.
Coming as freshly out of college. And I wasn't very, I wasn't dating a lot.
Yeah.
So to me, in my low self-esteem, he didn't know. Maybe he did. I don't know. That I was so like.
Yeah. Like almost flattered.
Yeah, I was flattered, but at the same time worried and scared. And I'm like, what did I do? Like all these things. But I didn't realize, looking back, like that was super inappropriate.
Yes.
We were supposed to talk about a client. You called me on the phone to talk to me about taking me out.
On a work phone.
And then had been flirting with me. I thought we were just coworkers.
Right.
I think you're an easy lay and I'd like to have sex again.
No, it's not like that. Have dinner with me.
Why?
I don't know, because, we're hungry.
I can't have dinner with you. I don't even know you.
You slept with me.
It's a different thing.
Sam's run away. And bartender Steve has come to try to take Miranda out.
Yeah. And she said, you slept with me. We don't know each other. Different thing.
Yeah. And that's true.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I have a lot of like really funny rom-com stories, even though I'm like not into that. But once I had something like this happen where two guys who were interested in me and I didn't know it were like, when are you going to this thing? When are you going to this thing? And all my friends were there. And then they both showed up and it was the most awkward thing ever. And then they both refused to leave. And I was like, I got to go home. I'm tired.
You mind if I don't go? I mean, I've been out all day. It's gonna rain.
But my friends are expecting you.
But Big is backing out. He promised and he's backing out.
He does seem like he constantly does this.
Yeah. And by the way, because I definitely have seen it with friends where the guy or the partner keep backing out and I'm like, he doesn't want to hang out with it. Like it feels offensive.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they personally don't want to hang out with us or they don't like us or something. He's hiding something.
Yeah. And like I'm all for it. If I'm not into it, tonight I'm tired. But if you keep doing it.
Yeah, if it's constantly like you just can't come out, like, dude, really? Like your girlfriend or your partner wants to come out. Why won't you?
And this is important. If you like care about your friends, introducing somebody to the group, that's a big thing.
Right.
I'm not sure he's coming from work. I didn't have the strength to tell them about my fallen hero, at least not without a cocktail.
So she has to explain why Big's not there.
Oof.
But here's Steve bringing the cocktail.
And if you want a good go home with one.
Oh, Miranda, no.
Wow.
Oh, everybody is feeling awkward.
What is this called? There's a term for this when you make a joke that you know is like, it's funny, but it's just going to make people mad.
Yeah.
Like somebody mad.
It's passive aggressive, right?
I think so.
Is it not?
It's different than what we were talking about earlier where it's just like racist or sexist or
Yeah.
lazy. This is like something where you're like, this is very, very funny, but it's just going to hurt a friend that you know.
You're making fun of yourself or your friend. She does seem hostile. This is where I'm like, they really did her dirty because she's not wrong.
Yeah. I think we got distracted earlier, but I think the conversation has shifted from where Miranda was painted as sort of the villain of like, oh, Carrie didn't show up and I'm mad and she's the villain because she's mad because the hetero romantic relationship is more important. I think in a lot of stuff that's shifted.
It has.
And now the friendship would be more like the thing you should focus on. And she would not be the villain anymore.
She would not. She would be the hero because of her job and her independence and her ability to see through things. Of course, she's too cold. Like that's also a trope that oftentimes happens with a leading lady.
That's true.
Not being like overly available, but like being closed off now.
Yes.
Because you have to be too focused. But then like that's your downfall.
Right.
But whatever. Yeah, so we have a Big looking like a hero because he showed up.
Yeah.
He showed up here. And we meet Steve, which is a significant character throughout the entire series. You get a full thumbs up for the Donald Trump. I did feel like I heavily hinted. Like I couldn't not heavily hint because I can't be like, you're going to be excited. You're not going to be excited about this cameo. So I'll at least give you 2 out of 5 stars.
2.5.
All right, I'll give you 2.5. I will relent, but everything else was real off. Technically Steve did have good sex, but he did not have Viagra.
Yeah, where was the Viagra?
The dude, the old man.
Oh. Yeah.
The reason he went to the bathroom was to get a Viagra.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got you. Okay.
But she ran away.
Yes.
Before he got that Viagra. With all the diamonds, though.
I
mean, she made some money.
She did.
You go. But yeah, that was the thing. So the myth is obviously the story. The man would be Big, I believe. And then the Viagra would be the old dude. Yeah. So this was very much centered on the 3 of them. Charlotte was kind of in the background for this one.
Yeah, she was.
Which is surprising. But yeah, so we have Steve coming in to the cast now, and we have now met adorable bartender Steve.
I like Steve. Because I've only seen him in, because I have watched And Just Like That, which is kind of it's not a reboot, but like the follow-up series to Sex and the City. And so that's the only way I've known him.
Wait, you did watch one movie, right?
I haven't seen a movie. I've seen like 3 episodes.
Oh, okay. Okay, you didn't see the movie.
No. I went to go see, what was that M. Night Shyamalan movie instead?
Oh, that's right. My
friends
went to see.
My friends
you went to see the M. Night Shyamalan
which is, I think, pretty telling of who I am.
Yeah. So here we have all that conversation. This was a little more like upbeat episode in kind of that, although I did talk about being hit on by an older man. And there's nothing wrong with dating older men, but it was very obvious that I was inexperienced. We were at a workplace. We were like working together for children. Like all of those things. It was so like off-putting. And he was probably one of the best therapists that I've seen because he's been in it for a while and is very gentle with the kids. Yeah. So after that, I was like, do I talk to him?
Yeah.
And I am an avoidant person. So I'm like, I'm never talking to you again. But I couldn't because he was one of the best therapists. So I had to use him.
Right.
It was interesting.
It's unfortunate. I feel like a lot of the things we've watched from like, I don't know, the 90s or 80s, we've had this conversation where it was just so normalized that men would do that at work.
Right.
And now it wouldn't work like we were talking about with Bridget Jones's Diary, like that doesn't read as funny anymore.
Right.
Because we are finally having these conversations. But for so many of us, that is an experience we've had. I remember once I had a, like higher up when I was an intern, basically asked me to his home when he had a wife and kids. And another employee, who I think to this day, she showed up and like diverted the conversation, got me out of the situation. But it was just kind of like, yeah, that's how it is. It's understood. And I hate that it's true. We talk about that all the time. Like, I love that she saw that I was in a situation, got me out of it. Was like, no, here we go.
Yeah.
But I hate that that's a thing.
That's the thing that we have to be aware of. Yeah. As for me, and it's not that this happens all the time, it was more of that person, instead of telling me beware, was mad at me. And yelled at me. And I was like, what is I'm asking for advice because I'm concerned. And I don't know what to do.
And this is a thing that I hate because I feel like so many times that happens and then the woman in question leaves, doesn't get promotion, whatever it is, because of that. And then everyone's like, well, he's a nice guy and he's good at his job, so he doesn't get any ramifications. And then, I mean, that's like one of my least favorite things is when women are like blaming other women when they should be blaming him.
I do want to clarify because not that anybody connected to that job is going to listen to this episode. He was not a coworker technically. He was a contract position with us. So it wasn't like, but it was still odd because of the way he did it was definitely because we were talking about a case and I could not avoid him. So all of those things were a part of that. And I felt like she felt justified. She felt really justified when she was able to tell me that he got hit on other people too. Like, I'm not special. It was really odd. It was really odd. Like, the whole interaction was very odd. The whole experience was very odd. But yeah, that's that conversation of like, who buys into it, who's talking about it, who gets the allowance to do it, who gets to be able to be comfortable in it, and who gets to burn bridges. That's a whole different conversation. Then also we talk about the myth. What would a modern day myth for us be? Their modern day myth is the mistress.
I feel like this sounds so cynical, and I'm such an optimistic person, I swear. I feel like the myth is that you can have an equal relationship.
Yeah, that equal partnership and or the flip. If it's in a heteronormative relationship, the woman is the one that brings home everything and he is the caretaker.
Yeah.
And that it actually works in that flip.
Yes.
But that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and he's going to get so much more credit than any stay-at-home mom would ever get.
His wife's going to get so much more blame.
Yes, because she's not staying at home.
Why would you do this to your children? You're doing all these emasculating him, even if that's not how he feels.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing is like, I hope it never sounds like I don't think people can have happy, healthy relationships because I do.
Yeah.
But there's so much societal stuff you can't remove. You just can't remove it.
Yeah. Maybe the other modern day myth is having it all.
Yes.
Like that whole level of you must be all good in all of these, and specifically for women, you must be good at all of these things. Have the children that are perfect. Have the house that is perfect. Have the job that you love, that you're successful in climbing, like, and being healthy.
Yes.
And also perfect body.
Yes. Yes. And then it's like not exhausting and soul crushing.
Not soul crushing at all. I think that's another modern myth, and that is specific to women in general, that you will have the perfect marriage, that you have the perfect children and family relationship, that everything is beautiful, which oftentimes we know is not true. But yeah, I think that's another modern myth that gets fed to us often, even if that means like you're the perfect housewife, you're the perfect stay-at-home mom. Like that's the scenario, which that's kind of been more and more debunked, but it's coming back a lot with the conservative conversation anyway. But yeah, I think that's part of the modern day myth as well. Maybe, and this is going to be controversial, a modern day myth is the perfectly happy single woman.
Ooh. Interesting, because I've talked about that before, because I think there is a strange thing we've attached to feminism and being single and having sex.
Yes.
Like the kind of hookup culture, which I have no problem with. I think that's great.
Yeah.
If you're consensual, all about it.
Yeah.
But we've attached it to happiness, feminism. This is the best.
Yeah.
You
Case
can
scenario,
be.
yeah. So like, I think like, because don't get me wrong, I still hold to the fact that I would rather be single, be miserable in a relationship. And I think that works better because I don't want to settle for a bad relationship. I think it's better to be single.
Mm-hmm.
But do we hold to that fact that we are so strongly held to that fact that we have to present ourselves as, we're fine, I'm fine, everything, I'm never lonely, I love doing this by myself, I'm going to go sit at a restaurant by myself, I love it.
Right.
You know? Or
Right.
we can't show weakness. I'm like, I'm lonely today.
Yeah.
It's hard today.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I feel like it's sort of the pendulum swung so hard because we were like, you're demonizing single women and singlehood, and we can be totally happy by ourselves, which we can.
Yeah.
And I am. But that doesn't mean like you don't have days where you're like, okay, I miss this. And also, it doesn't mean that maybe there's some societal gender difference in relationships, which is why you feel like you can't be in a relationship in the first place.
Right. So there's so many things. But I you know, like as a person of when we talk about intersectionality, we have to acknowledge that because that's unrealistic to think that you're always going to be okay and that being so independent is okay. Because sometimes, especially in the housing market, it is hard to be single. I'm like, yeah, y'all can afford this beautiful home. You have a roommate. You just call him a partner. You may sleep with him, but that's still your roommate. And then people will get looked down on if they have roommates being like, oh, that's so college and childish. That you can't afford your own. You don't afford your own. Some people do. But like typically, you have a dual income and that makes a massive amount of difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the whole idea of, we've seen so many interesting takes of it recently, but the whole idea of like, you're happy all the time as a single woman, like you're out like, ooh, partying every night. You're not.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like you shouldn't be, in my opinion. Yeah, if you're happy staying in, stay in.
Right.
And sometimes it's sad, and that's okay.
Anney said this very, very like convincing herself as she punched the chair, y'all.
Yeah. Very passionate about it. Yes. Well, that's what good friends are for, Samantha.
True. That's true.
Yes. Well, as we said, if you're interested in perhaps participating in one of these episodes, we are collecting names. We're going to do more than one of these, but the first one is upcoming, we promise, where you're going to be on.
It's true.
It's going to be really fun. You can email us at stephaniemomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. Thanks, as always, to our super producer, Christina.
She's the best.
She is the best.
She's making this so beautiful.
Yes, she's also way better at this than me. And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.